Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. We are here, not for too long, but just to have a little mini discussion about Mitchell Robinson, ladies and gentlemen, and the Dallas Mavericks having interest in signing Mitchell Robinson. And, you know, to me, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to bring this across the screen so you see what I'm talking about. This is through NBA Central, a report. The Dallas Mavericks will have an eye out for Mitchell Robinson in free agency. The Dallas Mavericks will have an eye out for Mitchell Robinson in free agency. I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like it's a ruse. It's very interesting timing at the, when it's come out. So I do feel like that's a little bit of a ruse. And to be honest with you, I think it's maybe Mitchell Robinson's agent leaking something out to the press simply to put pressure on the New York Knicks, right? To let the New York Knicks know, yes, we know Mitch he got hurt, right? And his contract situation is a little bit up in the air right now, but we got suitors. We got people interested. That's what I think this is right here. That's what I think it is. And we're going to get to talking with the guys in just a minute. We got Savvy D, Evergreen. We got Nate in the building. But I want to read something. This is from the New York Post right now. It's about Mitchell Robinson's contract. Okay. The Knicks had varied options regarding Robinson's odd contract situation before the broken foot. However, league sources believe Robinson's foot injury has elevated one option as a crystal clear move for President Leon Rose. Robinson's team-friendly 4-year contract. The Knicks hold it for an option in his final season at $1.8 million. Very team-friendly, right? Very team-friendly, $1.8 million. All right? Modest wage for Mitchell Robinson. And, of course, Mitchell Robinson has proven to be a shot-blocking and rim-protecting center that Tom Thibodeau loves. To solidify his long-term future, the Knicks had a chance to not exercise the team option and allow him to become a restricted free agent. Then the Knicks could match any offer that was deemed outrageous. By doing so, it would prevent the Knicks from risking losing Robinson as an unrestricted free agent in 2022. With one NBA source believing the Dallas Mavericks have an eye out for the center, Mitchell Robinson from Louisiana. Now, according to Bobby Marks, this is what he believes is the best option for the Knicks. Exercise the $1.8 million team option in July before the draft. Then attempt to engage Robinson's new agent, Thad Foucher, to sign an extension after free agency begins somewhere around August 1st. Okay? Bobby Marks, he says that an extension at 3 years, $30 million tops, is maybe what Mitchell Robinson would be worth in an extension. And if the Knicks did offer an extension to Mitchell Robinson, that extension would begin 2022 and 2023. It would begin that season. It's hard to say, very hard to say about Mitchell Robinson. It's tough. It's tough to say what to do. I do believe, listen, I agree with Bobby Marks and what he just said, though. Right? Exercise the $1.8 million team option in July. I agree with that. And then I guess you have to figure out if you want to try to offer him an extension or not. The problem is this. If you pick up the team option in July, when do you offer that extension? If you do it over the summer, You haven't seen Mitchell Robinson play. Does he come back from that broken foot? Right? Is it going to be a reoccurring issue, that broken foot? That's the question. Because if you exercise that $1.8 million team option and then you sign him to an extension for 3 years, $30 million that begins in 2022, 2023, and then that foot continues to break down. Now, I guess you're not stuck with it. You can still move that, right? You can move that 3 years, $30 million, and maybe there's a team option somewhere in there, maybe for the last year or something like that. Who knows? But I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that this leaked information that Dallas has an eye out for Mitchell Robinson if he were to become an unrestricted free agent in 2022 is a message to the New York Knicks from his agent to say, from his agent Thad Foucher, we have suitors for Mitchell Robinson. They're negotiating already. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong, but that's what I see. I think they're negotiating already. Let's talk about this topic a little bit, man. Savvy D, what's popping, brother? How you feeling?
Sean, fam, how you doing?
I'm good,
to see
man.
the Knicks family in effect. Talk about this basketball.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Mitchell Robinson, man. What do you think? Is that his agent spitting that information out there, or what? Does Dallas really have? You think Dallas has interest in Mitchell Robinson? Looking all the way now. 2022, Mitchell Robinson is going to be available, not this summer, but next summer. I mean, you do that for Giannis, right? You do that for Giannis. You do that for those type of guys. Do you do that for Mitchell Robinson? That's my question. Do you do that?
I don't know if you do that for Mitchell Robinson. Depending on how much they believe in their future with KP. If you believe that KP is going to be your center of the future, then I don't believe that you come and you express interest in Mitchell Robinson. If you don't, then I believe that you might try to go for a big free agent and then try to get Mitchell Robinson later on down the line, right? As a free agent, don't have to trade for him. And then you go along and bring him up off the bench behind whoever so-and-so is that they sign as a free agent.
Mm-hmm. But
right?
but
that's
I think
the only situation where I could make sense of it.
But see, I think Mitchell Robinson and KP can probably play next to each other, right? Because KP can spread the floor. He doesn't really post up, so he's not manning that space inside. He shoots the ball from the top of the key. Every once in a while, he posts up, right? So I think he could. Mm-hmm. I think they could play in the same spots. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they could play together because they don't play in the same spots.
I think they could coexist as well. But I don't know how much they want to stretch KP, considering that he himself has a reputation for being flimsy, you see.
Yeah.
But then again, moving him down to the floor could leave him with lighter bodies to bang with. So
It's interesting. It's interesting. Listen, I'm definitely picking up. If I'm the Knicks, I'm definitely picking up Mitch's option this summer. July 1st, whenever it is, I'm picking it up. It's no doubt about it in my book. I'm picking up the option, and we're gonna go from there. And I don't know if I'm offering him an extension August 1st. Right, because I want to see him come back from that foot. I want to see him play. I want to know if it's going to be healthy. If he's going to be healthy, because you talk about a big guy, and I know he's not a heavy big guy, but still, my son suffered a fracture in his foot, right on the side of his foot, suffered a fracture. And he doesn't play the amount of basketball that Mitchell Robinson is going to play throughout his career. But it still bothers him to this day. So that, I don't know. I don't know how and where we go from there. Evergreen, I'm gonna come to you in a minute, Nate. Evergreen, what do you think, man? Look like you froze up a little bit, Evergreen. I'm gonna come to Nate and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Nate.
You got me mute. Okay. Yeah, the poison pill for big guys is the foot or it's the back. I mean, Yao Ming had to retire because of his foot problems. You know, he had plantar fasciitis. Here's the thing with Mitch, and this is what I would do. I agree with you. I would pick up the option because it's super cheap, and I would make him a restricted free agent, and I would let him test the market and see what he can get. Now, I know that's a big risk, but let me say this. The Knicks are not as bad off as without Mitch because Nerlens Noel has shown that he can play. I mean, he actually has a little bit more offensive repertoire than, well, not saying very much, but he can score a little bit better on the offense than Mitch can other than lobs. And he blocks shots. He needs to rebound more. But I think they would be willing to take that risk to let Mitch test the market with those two injuries and see what his value is worth. And if somebody comes out with an outrageous match, like the whole Jeremy Lin situation, then, we got Noel, and we're okay with Noel because Noel played with us. And, if we make to the playoffs and Noel's our center, hey, we're okay with him. Noel's still young. I mean, he can still ball, he can play. He just got to get better hands. That's my biggest knock on Noel. Just catch the ball. So I think the Knicks should play a little bit of hardball and say, okay, you're putting this out there that, Dallas is interested in you. Okay, well, let's see what Dallas offers you. And if it's outrageous, then, hey, bye-bye. We got Noel, and if we have to draft a center in the draft, so be it. Mitch was a second-round pick. It's not like, we're losing high value. We got a steal in him. And if the market doesn't dictate where he doesn't get the money he wants, then maybe the Knicks come in with the extension. Or I don't know how it works. They can still offer the extension when he's restricted. Can they, I guess?
No, I don't think they can offer the extension once he becomes a restricted free agent. There's going to be a certain time limit.
But they can make an offer.
Yeah, maybe October of 2021. They, somewhere around there, I think. Maybe they'd have to decide whether or not they're going to extend an offer to him. Listen, it could be chancy. If you say, hey, we're going to pick up your contract, but then we're going to let you get the restricted free agency in the summer of 2022. Yes, you can match it. I don't know. It's a tricky move. And then at that time, assuming that you still have Nerlens Noel, at that time, he's 26 this year. I don't know when he turns 27, but he could be 27 or 28 at that time. Still young, and still a player that not a guy that you're looking at and saying, he's old. So I mean, the thing is, do you want something more from your center though? Because Nerlens Noel doesn't look like he's going to just one day all of a sudden become a scoring threat. I think Nerlens Noel is who he is who he is. Mitch still has that chance to develop and become more on the offensive side. He's more on the offensive side now than Nerlens Noel, and he doesn't shoot the basketball. Neither does Nerlens Noel, but he has a couple of moves, and he can shoot a mid-range jump shot if he needs to. But, Mitch is more of a threat now. Well. Mitch is more of a threat now, and he doesn't have any of those things. There's still the chances out there that Mitch can develop those things. But
will he ever?
Well, I mean, we don't know.
But will he ever? That's my question. And that's what worries me is extending him, his numbers are not dominant. He's not even a double-double guy. I mean, his rebounds are around 8. He's averaging around 8 points. I mean, I get it. His blocks are down. I'm just not giving him a lot of money, man. Just to be honest with you. And I know this guy wants money. He wants to get paid. You don't change agents unless you want to get money.
Well, he's had 6 of them though, so who knows?
Well, he's probably trying to find the right one that's going to give him the most money, in my opinion.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, I mean, you don't put this out there unless you're trying to play hardball with your team and say, hey, we got suitors, so y'all either better pay up or I'm gonna go. And he's not gonna play for us the rest of the season, which is scary because we don't know how he's gonna be after this foot injury.
Well,
so you're taking a risk regardless, in the sense that that's why I say let him test the market, because a lot of teams are going to be worried about that foot injury. I promise you, because that is a poison pill for big guys. They do not want to see foot injury problems. And like you said, they do linger.
We'll see. Nerlens Noel, by the way, he turns 27 in about a week and a half. He'll turn 27 years old. So by the time Mitch becomes a free agent in 2022, he would have just turned 28, still not old. Evergreen, what's your take on this?
So I am letting him test the market, and I want to retain him though, right? Just like Nate said, you know what I mean? Like the injury is scary. Not that he's a superstar by any means, but this situation's got the KP story written all over it, right? But I want to retain him. You know what I mean? Like I'm a firm believer in camaraderie and continuity, and I think that he remains that additional piece that the team themselves love. You know what I mean? He does bring value to this team. His numbers are lower, not because he got worse. His numbers aren't telling the tape of what Tom Thibodeau is making him do.
Right.
Before that, he was running all over the place, and the majority of his blocks were coming from the 3-point line, right? So his numbers are lower for that reason and that reason alone. But his defensive presence is much better where it should be, which is in the paint, right? He's playing his role to a T, and it's working up until obviously in this injury. So I'm all about retaining Mitchell Robinson. I would even go so far as to say pay him 3 years, $30 million.
Okay.
Hey, Sim, can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
This isn't smoke. I mean, this isn't Dallas is pitched for Mitch. This is not a joke. Like, Dallas is always long for a center since Tyson Chandler. Yep. Every time there's a big center that comes out, Dallas's name is always in the rumors. And if I'm Mark Cuban, I vision in my head, you've already got Luka. KP's gonna have to play the 4. He can't take that pounding at the 5. It's just the knees and everything, and he plays more of a stretch anyway, so he's a perfect stretch 4. And then you anchor Mitch, a young center that's athletic as hell. You know, Luka would love to play with a guy like him because he's a great passer. Like, this is their future. This is what they look at. This is how they feel like they're going to build that formidable front line with Luka, KP, and Mitch.
Who's a great passer?
This is very serious.
Who are you saying is a great passer? Luka? Okay. I thought you were saying Mitch for a second. I was like, hold up, wait a minute.
No. Luka, Luka loves to pass, man. He would throw lobs left and right to Mitch. And this is what Dallas envisions. I mean, they want to get the center to protect the rim. They want to get KP on the stretch at the 4 to lessen the blow on his body. And then Luka, of course, running the show. So this is very serious. This does not surprise me that Dallas is intrigued by him. And if this gets a little bit louder, man, I mean, the Knicks are going to have to make a choice. They're going to have to,
and not to mention, not to mention, Dallas is much closer to New Orleans than New York. I don't know if his family's moved to New York with him or anything like that. I can't say. But Dallas is much closer to New Orleans than New York. And, he may value that time being home with his family.
He's bonded in a big way with the squad. This is a guy who has a speech impediment, right? And has blossomed into this social this social like present guy, this lighthearted, funny guy whose social presence has grown because his confidence has grown. And he's gotten better steadily as a Knick every single chance he's gotten. Literally, the only thing that stood in his way of developing his game since prior to the DeAndre Jordan stint where we had DeAndre is injuries. Every time he gets back on the floor, he balls. He levels up his game in some way, shape, or form, and then he does it. He was playing out of his mind before he got injured the first time. He came right back, and it was like he never left. Okay.
And he dropped like 17 and 12 or something like that. Or 12, 17 and 12 double-double or something like that.
I remember he had a double-double, but I don't remember the precise numbers, but he's been on a steady rise as a New York Knick since we've gotten him.
So let me ask you this, Savvy.
Nobody's more invested in this.
Are you worried about the injuries then? Are you worried about that foot and that it's going to be a problem going forward?
The foot injury is concerning. I'd be more concerned if it was somewhere more centrally located in his foot that takes much of the load. But it was his fifth metatarsal. And according to our friend Vivek on Twitter, that one is located near the small toe toward the outside, if I'm quoting our friend Viv, friend of the show, correctly. And so for that reason, I don't think it's going to be something that gets easily tweaked or exacerbated, especially considering the fact that he's not such a offensive focus for us. He mainly catches lobs, gets rebounds, things like that. As long as he takes the adequate time to rest and rehab, I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
That injury for those of us that are boxers or that have ever boxed before, that injury is sort of similar to like a boxer's fracture, right? It's that same bone on the outside of the fist that doesn't, take the majority of the load. When you're looking at boxing, like if you're breaking any of these two knuckles or these two bones in here, that's the problem. But this bone is fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can break that bone and you can come back because that's not where the majority of your power is from. Now you're looking at your foot. If you're looking at the ball of your foot or your big toe and your index toe, those are the ones that are taking all the majority of your jumping and pivoting and things of that nature. So if it was any one of those bones, then we would probably have a much bigger thing to worry about. But I look at it like this, dude. Like, how old is Mitchell Robinson? What's he, 22, 23 years old? Like, do you remember falling at 22, 23 years old? Do you remember spraining your ankle at that age? Do you remember how quick it took for you to heal? If he was Nerlens Noel's age, there'd be a difference.
The only thing that I would say there is that every person's body is going to react differently, right? Exactly. When I was in the 9th grade, I sprained an ankle, bad, really bad, and that thing didn't heal, like fully heal, until I was a senior. And to this day, I've got to wrap that ankle. I've got to take care of that ankle because I will easily sprain it again. And it's been like that for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? That I really had to watch it and take care of it because it'll sprain that easy. The ligaments have been loosened and, it's just going to be like that for the remainder of my life. We just don't know how everyone is going to react, how their bodies are going to react to an injury. Are you concerned, though, that, there's a lot of concern from people that, they say, hey, he's been, and I even seen it in the chat tonight, he's been injury prone. That's what people say. He's been injury prone throughout his short career with the Knicks. So far, Mitchell Robinson, of the games that he could play with the New York Knicks in his 3-year career, 2018, 2019, he played 66 of 82 games. All right. In 2019, 2020, he played 61 of 66 games. So that's a lot of games. He played most of the games last year. This year, it's going to be 2020, 2021. It's going to be 31 of 72 games that he plays this season. Right? So that's like 158 games out of 220 that he's been, that have been played. He's played in 158 of them. That's about 72% of the games. Right? This season, if he didn't suffer these injuries, but the fact is that he did suffer these injuries. If he didn't, if he didn't suffer this injury here, then, maybe, he would have played, I don't know, say 62 of 72 or something like that, maybe. My question is, though, all right, last year when he went out, or whenever in 2018-19 when he went out, it was ankle. He went out with a hand. Now this year, it's foot again, right? 2 of the 3 times that he's been out, it's been a lower extremity. Just are you concerned that, he's going to continue to have these kind of problems? Maybe his bones are frail. Maybe he's just awkward so that he doesn't land down his feet right. Those type of things. I don't know. We'll see. And I guess the Knicks are probably going to look at the same thing. That was one of the issues with Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson hasn't suffered the type of injury that Kristaps Porzingis suffered, and I'm glad that he didn't. But even when you look at Frank Ntilikina, he hasn't suffered anything major, right? But he continues to get these little nagging injuries that keep him out: a groin, an ankle, a groin, an ankle.
I think we need to pay attention to how he got the injuries, especially this injury. And you sound a lot better now, Evergreen.
Okay, cool.
This last injury that he got, he fell, landed badly, and then broke his foot. It was a very unlucky injury.
Right.
I don't think the problem is that his body isn't built for the game. I think the problem is that he just came off of an injury that sidelined him for a long period of time, had a bad luck moment on the court, and now that injury is going to keep him out for a long period of time. But prior to that, when you look at the injuries he was having, a bunch of them, like, for example, when he kept on tweaking his toe, that was concerning. It seemed like he's gone a long way in learning how to take care of his body and how to properly play the game so as to minimize his risk since then. I feel like maybe his first season when he was getting hurt, maybe he was too lanky back then. But if you look at him back then and you look at him now, he seemed to fill out a bit more and seems to have a stronger base with which to work with in the paint and the important parts of the body as a big man to get the job done. He does go up a lot and play a very physically imposing, dominant game, especially dunking over people. But I feel like, especially being that he's so dejected by this injury, I think this is a time where there's going to be a shift in his mentality about the risks that he takes on the court, right, and how he takes care of his body. Because just last season, he was having his most healthy season. We can't speculate about what did not happen because of the lockdown, but he was pretty much on pace to have played almost 90% of the games last season that he was available to play, not considering the fact that he was 61 for 66 last year, which would be higher than 90%. But because of the shortened season, we're not going to speculate on that. So I think once he comes back and we see him play at length, we'll have the real idea about the kind of Mitch health status that we'll have. Because if you notice, he didn't tweak that toe again. He didn't mess up his ankle again. Okay. And he was still playing at a higher level.
Okay. Right. And listen, I think we should take last year's what he played, 61 and 66 games at face value, and just say, hey, he played whatever it is, 90. If it's 90%, he played 90% of the games last year. I think we should, we take it for what that is, and don't even have to speculate on the other games because he was there for those games there. I guess we will see. I guess we'll see what happens and what Leon Rose decides to do when we get to the end of this year, and it's time for him to. I think he will pick up the team option. It's too team friendly not to. 1.8 million. It's too team friendly not to pick up the option. That would be ridiculous if he didn't pick up the option. So I think he will pick up the option. Then the question is, will he offer him an extension? A 3-year extension or something like that. We will see. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Mavericks, it's been reported that the Dallas Mavericks will have an eye out for Mitchell Robinson in free agency in 2022. And I seem to think that is Mitchell Robinson's agent just kind of floating it out there. Since Mitchell Robinson is injured, he has a team option for this year, right? The Knicks can also extend him. They can offer him the team option. They can pick up his team option in July, and then they can next year, starting August 1st, they can say, hey, we'll give you an extension if they want to. So I think that is Mitchell Robinson's agent floating it out there and letting the Knicks know, hey, let's talk about this extension. If I'm Mitchell Robinson, I want an extension right now.
Right.
I want an extension right now. Yeah.
That's what he's pushing for.
Right. In the meantime, and, before we get out of here, in the meantime, the Knicks are down a center, obviously, because Mitchell Robinson is hurt. We seen last night, Nerlens Noel, he tweaked his shoulder a little bit. What are we going to do at center in the short term? Because we do need an insurance policy. We got to have an insurance policy, I think. Where do we go? What do we do? I know some people want Demarcus Cousins. I'm not crazy about Demarcus Cousins.
They were linked to that Pele guy that played on the Sixers last year. He's a big dude. I think he's like 7 foot or 6'10". I mean, really, you just need insurance. I mean, I think Noel can play a pretty good load of the minutes. You got Taj. I mean, if one gets a foul trouble, you have Randall. You could play at a small ball 5. You just really need a guy just in case Noel or Gibson goes down, which, let's be honest, Noel's a beanpole, and Gibson is closer to retirement than people think he is. So you definitely need another guy for sure.
Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised at the level of production Taj Gibson has been giving us. I have to hand it to that man. He is doing some things out there just off of his veteran savvy. Hey, you know what I mean? That's keeping us alive out there. So
he's always been that type of dude. If you watched him in Chicago, man, he's always been a hard grinder type of guy. That's why Tibbs loves him.
He was a terror in Chicago.
Well, just imagine being 37 years old and playing a pickup game, with a bunch of young people. You'd be like, man, I could maybe play like one game.
Well, the thing is, you play one game. Well, that's all he has to do is play one game. You play a pickup game. You play one game. Trust me, I am there. I'm already there. Okay, I'm already there. So I know. Am I playing center? No, but sometimes I'm playing power forward.
Oh no, I was gonna say playing center against the Heat like playing 3 games.
Yeah. That's true. Isaiah doesn't count, man.
I know they're scouring the league and trying to find the right guy, but I just get afraid that the longer and longer we wait, the more and more these guys are taking that abuse down there, and we're gonna lose one of them, right? And I don't want to see Julius Randle. I don't want to see Julius Randle playing that backup 5 position. I just don't. Right? Not that he can't. I mean, he's already got a lot of responsibility out there on the floor. He doesn't need another.
What about playing Obi at the 5?
I don't think Tom Thibodeau trusts him there. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Right? At his natural position, he's unable to stay on the floor for a sustained period. If someone like, say, Nerlens Noel goes out, Taj Gibson has to start, can you really rely on Obi to give you 25 minutes at the backup center?
No, I'm just saying he's your third backup center if you still have Gibson and Noel. But yeah, if one of those dudes go down, you got to get somebody else. Yeah, you can't rely on Obi. I'm just saying, like, he could be your emergency backup third center, so you don't have to put the pressure on Randall to play that 5 and take that beating. Plus, he's short.
Right. He's 6'8", 6'9",
Yeah, he already gets the stuff blocked all the time.
Right. Now the thing is, you would think that he should be able to, maybe he can block some shots because he can jump, but I don't know if he has that kind of timing. I don't know. I just don't think. I know some people have discussed it. I don't think it's something that we can really rely on to be. I don't think it's something we can rely on. Let's say that. I just don't think we can rely on him. So I think we got to go out there and find somebody. If Novell Pell, maybe he's going to be available. I know people talked about Kylo Quinn. I'm not interested in DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know about Tyson Chandler. You know what I'm saying? He's, can he come and give you some minutes? Maybe. I don't know.
My question to all of y'all, when we say that Obi can't do it, which I'm inclined to agree as of right now, simply because of his height. But what actually is Obi's natural position? Because when he was at Dayton, wasn't he playing the 5?
Nah, I think he was playing the 4.
Like a running gun 5. Was he playing a 4?
I think he was playing the 4, and sometimes he would play a small ball 5.
I mean, but he was the tallest player on the team, so they probably put him at 5.
But
right, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that, again, at this point, I get everyone is trying to win now. You know what I mean? Like, play now, get as far as you can now. I'm all about experimenting and getting people out of their comfort zones, right? And when I mention that, I'm talking specifically about Tibbs. Tibbs is coaching in his comfort zone, and at this point in time, we're not really where we should be with that. Just because the players that we value on a team that we need to develop, they aren't really getting the minutes that they would need in order to develop the sides of the game where they really are bad at, and one of them in this case is Obi Toppin playing the 4 and being able to use and bruise and beat those players to the basket and defend running around. Like, he's got the motor and he's got the energy for it, but the IQ isn't there, which is why I'm a proponent as of right now to third stringing Obi Toppin at the 5. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like you said, I don't want Julius Randle to have that responsibility as a small ball 5. I like what he's able to bring at his natural position at a 6'8", 6'9" power forward. I like where he's at, and I think because of Obi Toppin's athletic ability, I think playing the center position would be a little easier for him. He's going to get cooked by all of your really good centers, your Karl Anthony Towns, your Joel Embiids, the Jokic, Nurkic, if he ever gets healthy, Vucevic, like those guys, he's going to get cooked by those guys. But maybe this is the opportunity as a third string guy that he can use to develop those small little defensive things that you would want to see from him before we start giving him that task of being more defensively aware and running from baseline to from baseline to foul line, like the things that your stretch 4s are doing, those defensive things of trying to defend a stretch 4, is a lot more difficult now than what it is for a center to defend in the paint. It's a lot more responsibility for a stretch 4 defender to be playing against a center. So I would much rather see him in that 5 role where it's less of a liability of him going crazy. On top of that, like, this is a guard heavy league. The guards are the ones that's getting buckets. Like, let's see what he can do in the paint. let's see what he can do in the paint and stop him from running all over the place and looking like a chicken with his head cut off out there. Because that's really what he's doing. He's just running all over the place. And we're like, Obi. And even Tim's like, Obi! You know what I mean? Like, I can almost guarantee that Tibbs is not going to have to scream Obi every 5 seconds if Obi just has to have 1 foot in the paint and 1 foot out the paint. And he's just moving around in between there. I think it's a little bit easier to play the center position than it is to run around as a power forward is all I'm getting.
I like the idea of slowing the game down for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like he could get crafty at that position too. So I'm not mad at that idea. But if that idea didn't work, we could always invite Timofey Mozgov back.
He's in Russia. He's probably overseas now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do, man.
I'm sure he'll jump on a plane for us.
Yeah.
Hey, Sim, John Henson's another guy to think about too.
Yeah,
a long, lanky guy
right.
that can score inside.
Right, John Henson's out there as well. We'll see what they decide to do. If you did put Obi at the 5, I would hope that I would want Tibbs to play some zone. For those stretches, play some zone. Keep. Let him go sideline. Let him go box to box. Play defense box to box.
Did they play a lot of zone?
Yeah, yes, probably so. That would help out a lot. New York. Before we get out of here, the Knicks versus Minnesota tonight. What's your thoughts on? Not tonight, tomorrow night. What's your thoughts on the game? Start with you, Savvy.
Start.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I'll start, and I'll say that I'm not going to give my prediction because it's your fault that we lost yesterday because you made me predict, and of course I predicted, and we lost tenfold. So I'm not predicting. Savvy, it's all on you, brother.
I see a W in our future, our near future, and our tomorrow future. I think what happened last night gonna leave us sour. And we got nobody to take it out on but Minnesota. I think we win that game by 5, at least.
Okay. Nate?
Is Russell healthy? Is Russell playing? Or is he still out?
Is who?
D'Angelo
Russell? I'm not sure. I haven't looked at any of that yet. I'm not even sure.
I mean, we beat them last time. We struggled a little bit, but I think we finished them at the end. Anthony Edwards is a stud, man. I mean, that guy is just coming into his own. I think we win. I mean, but it's on the road, so it's always tough. And what Knicks team is going to show up, man? I thought they were going to beat the Heat, and then they just let the Heat just run all over them. So who knows? I mean,
yeah. Well,
I'd say yes.
I feel like that was an anomaly. Go on.
All right. So
we've had losses like that before.
Now that so I want people to think about this. I want Knicks fans to think heavy about this. Y'all don't have to answer this. But now that LaMelo Ball is no longer the rookie of the year runner-up, and I want everybody to think about what happened when they put out after the All-Star break was over and there was no games up, that Emmanuel Quickley had risen up to the number 2 spot in the rookie rankings, even though no games have been played, which means that he should have been on that all rookie team, right? Is Emmanuel Quickley still in the running for rookie of the year, even though LaMelo Ball is injured, or do we think that Anthony Edwards is slowly taking that spot?
It was between Edwards and Ball in the beginning. I don't think Quickley was even in the
I think it was kind of between those two guys. I do think that Anthony Edwards is probably the guy that's in that spot right now.
Because percentage-wise, it was all Quickley. Like he had close to the same amount of points on, double the efficiency, but and on less the minutes at that. He was really close. He was really close for a while, and he's clearly way more efficient. Like that dude. I don't think Anthony Edwards should have even been considered for that rookie team with those percentages. I mean, he was shooting like 29% from 3, and he was shooting really, really, really bad, like 40-something% from the field. You know what I mean? And he was getting like 18, 19 shots a game. He was playing really bad, but he was the numbers, the hard stat line numbers were there. So I'm only bringing this up for people to think about, like, don't second guess the guy that's still coming off the bench is all I'm saying.
I think Anthony Edwards hype, I'm sorry, Sim, the Anthony Edwards hype to me seemed like recency bias.
Right.
Because he had that wild game, but you know, that's just
right. And if he didn't have that 42-point game, right? Because that's the only game that he's really put up a crazy number. If he didn't have that 42-point game, would he be there?
But to be fair, Quickly's been on and off too. I mean, he's had games where he's had 20 plus points and looked like a stud, and then games where he's had like 12 points and looked like a dud. I mean,
he's had multiple career scoring setting nights. Quickly, and Quickly's been getting smarter with the ball,
and he's been more consistent than Anthony Edwards.
Well, see, so season stats: Anthony Edwards averaged just about 17 a game, 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists. Of course, you got Tyrese Halliburton, who's in the second spot right now in the most recent career ladder. This was rookie ladder, not career ladder, rookie ladder. This was put out March 22nd, or the stats were updated as of March 22nd. This was put out on March 24th, right? So it's Anthony Edwards, and then Tyrese Halliburton, and then Emmanuel Quickly.
Sam, look at the minutes. The minutes is what tells a big deal.
Right.
No, not just who's starting. I'm just talking about the total number of minutes. We know Edwards is starting. We know Halliburton is starting. But when you look at Quickly and his efficiency that he's got percentage-wise, and you look at the amount of minutes he's playing, that right there, in my opinion, should be enough to say, all right, there was, like I said, there was a reason why he magically just climbed up the rookie rankings to number 2 right after the All-Star break, but before a game had even been played by any team in the league, because the efficiency was there.
You keep saying efficiency. What's he shooting? I feel like he's shooting a bad percentage right now.
Yeah, I mean, so right now, Anthony Edwards, he's playing 30 minutes a game. He's averaging 17, actually, 17.2 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He shoots 38.6% from the field. He shoots 30.8% from the 3-point line. Now let's go over to Tyrese Halliburton and see what he's doing. Now, Tyrese Halliburton, he's got, decent percentages from the field. Okay, he's averaging 13.2 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, and 5 assists. He averages 30 minutes per game. He shoots 48.7% from the field. He shoots 42.3% from the 3-point line. Right,
that's already better than Edwards. He should be way ahead of Edwards.
Yeah,
but you see what I'm saying now? Why. Like you look at that, and it's just like 4 more points is not worth a drop off in 7% from the field and another 5% from the 3. Like it's not worth it to me. You know what I mean? Now, if you don't mind, Sim, please do the honors with Emmanuel Quickly.
Right, and so Quickly, he's averaging 20 minutes a game, 12.8 points per game, shooting 39% from the field, 37.6% from 3. He also averages 2.3 rebounds and 2.3 assists per game. Let me say this about Quickly, though. let me say this.
I'm just saying, guys. Let me say this. The numbers.
If he can really, if the Knicks are fighting down the stretch for a playoff spot, and he has a number of big games during that stretch,
they still won't give it to him.
He would really, really put himself in a situation where they have to really look at him and say, wow, like if say we have 1 or 2 games, really big games, and he 25 to 30 points in those games, which is he's definitely capable of doing. And
it could be tomorrow.
Some big games that we really have to win come down the stretch, and he helps us win by dropping some big points. He has to really be looked at in that spot, because we're in the playoffs. Neither one of those teams are nowhere near the playoffs.
Listen again.
So-
For me, even at 12 points, like the efficiency for me is more important. So I would say he's under Halliburton, and Edwards is under him, just off of the efficiency alone. I mean, he's playing 10 less minutes than these guys. He's coming off the bench in the second unit, and his efficiency is better than a guy who's starting and getting more minutes.
But it's not all about the points. It's flash too, and Edwards is more flashier than Quickly is.
Yeah,
and LaMelo was more flashier than both.
And I think that's the problem, is the way that they're grading this. The way I get it. I mean, we know what you're saying. Like I'm not.
It is what it is.
Guessing that. Like that's like the year that Steve Nash won MVP over Kobe. It's like you got did that really happen? Like. You know what I mean? Those things happen, and Kobe clearly had a better season, right? So now we look at this, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, like, I don't care about the way it looks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the way it looks when it happens. I care about, are we getting the W, and who's more efficient with it? You know, it can look it don't. If you average 17 points a game, and 7 of those points come in garbage time when the team's already lost, and they all come from layups and dunks. Is it really efficient? Is it really a flash thing? Does it really even matter? Right? The Knicks are winning, and he is producing at an efficient level for a guy that's only averaging 20 minutes a game and coming off the bench with the second unit. So I want to challenge everybody to start to think a little bit more critically when they start to figure out what they're going to say is the rookie of the year.
And also too, to piggyback on that real quick, I mean, the Knicks are a better team than both those teams.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So if it's based on if the assessment was based on wins, Quickly would be the rookie of the year, because his team is a lot better than Minnesota's, a lot better than Sacramento's, a lot better. Well, Charlotte was about the same. So
yeah, Charlotte.
But even Ball's efficiency, although it was really bad earlier on in the season, like before the All-Star break, that dude, before like I said, before the end of this, before the All-Star break, it was rough. But like right after that All-Star break, like, he looked pretty good to me. He's pretty
good all year, bro.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He looked pretty damn good. You know what I mean? And even when it was him was, it was a big argument between where they were at as far as second place between that rookie of the year. And again, I wasn't, remember Sim earlier, I was like, I'm not ready to have this argument. I'm not ready to even have this conversation because we're too far. Now is around that time where you can start making this argument to see, okay, who is the rookie of the year?
Bro, Ball might still win it too, dude. I mean, he played majority of the season.
He can't win it, man.
I don't think so.
He's missing too many games, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be missed so many games.
He can't win it, bro.
It wouldn't be right.
He can't win it, bro. If he wins it, there's an extreme bias.
Yeah. Look, I'm just looking if Emmanuel Quickly can really give us some good games during this playoff stretch. This playoff stretch of well, I don't want to say playoff stretch, but during these games that could possibly lead us to the playoffs. If he can give us some really good games and is really instrumental, it's really instrumental. He should be. His name has got to be mentioned there. One more thing about this game tomorrow night, and we're gonna do a game preview tomorrow. But it's possible that D Rose won't play tomorrow. He's questionable.
I saw that.
D Rose is questionable for tomorrow night's game with an ankle injury.
Point guard, go figure.
You know what I mean? Hopefully he's gonna play, but he's questionable tomorrow night. You know what I mean?
Burke
sucks.
Sam, who is our strength and conditioning coach, man? Is it the same guy or is it a new guy? I mean,
isn't it that Asian guy? That's him, right? Is he the guy? I can't remember his name.
I don't even know if it has to do with our strength and conditioning coach. I mean, these guys are coming to us. I mean, if they're with this guy for 1 year, You know what I mean? Like, I can't say it's our strength and conditioning coach. You know, Derrick Rose has been here
maybe
for
the players
what?
aren't stretching, or maybe they're not doing their part. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I'm just saying, Derrick Rose has been here for a month and a half. It's not our strength and conditioning coach, at least with Derrick Rose.
What about our players that we have?
Being old, dogs.
I mean,
like, done. Like some of these guys, I'm not
I
done.
don't know.
But like,
I mean,
they're old, man. Like Derrick Rose is. These guys are old. Like Taj Gibson the other night, he was like hobbling. I mean, they're old players.
Bro, there's older players that are still balling out that don't have a lot of injuries.
But they're also young. Like if you look around the league, there are a bunch of guys who are out for other teams too. Like Ja Morant was out, LaMelo's out, Tatum has been out, Kemba's been out with abdominal injury. So it just happens. It's not about.
And also, and also when you're a team like the Knicks that's trying to add talent to your squad, sometimes you get players that have talent but injury issues, and that's part of the reason why they haven't been able to, be what they could have been in the league, because they have these injury issues. So when you look at Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel, I guess we can't say that about Mitch yet. We'll see where it goes. But even Alec Burks, right? Like these guys have been in and out of lineups and had injury issues for Reggie Bullock for a good portion of their career. And so you got to bring them all in. And part of it is what you deal with. These guys, coming in and out of the lineup because, that's part of what their career has been. It's injury issues. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, guess what?
We got to deal with it.
We can, right? That's true. We do have to deal with it. I think we try out Burks at the one some more, right? In the minutes that we have to spare when we can, okay? And honestly, I think we can take 3 out these next 5 games. I think we could take 3 out these next 5 games, okay? I think we can beat Minnesota, we can beat the Pistons, then we can beat the Celtics. Okay?
Depends on the Knicks team shows up, man.
I don't think the Knicks team from last night is any sort of an indication of anything, but we just match up bad against the Heat.
Yeah.
And that was Reggie Bullock's first game back. Like being your first game back against the Heat like that.
We didn't guard the 3. That's why we lost. We didn't guard the 3. That's why we lost.
Didn't close out fast enough. But defense wasn't the reason why we lost last night. We lost because of offense. Let's keep it a buck.
Listen,
man, we gave up a lot of 3-pointers.
We did. But we kept them under 100. That's the Eastern Conference champion. We kept them under 100 points. If we would have scored like we normally do, we would have won that game.
I mean, isn't that the goal? Like, I mean, you got to score more than the other point to even win, bro. What I'm getting at, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk when I say that. I'm simply saying that, dude, we got outmatched in every facet. You know what I mean? That wasn't just a bad defense thing. That wasn't just a our bad offense thing. I said that exact point last night during my phone call. I said that exact point again. I said every which way they could have outdone us, they did. But I feel like it's just the way we match up against them. I don't feel like that about the rest of these teams.
Let me
tell you, agree with that because we matched up better with Brooklyn that one game. We matched up better with them. We matched up way better with Philly. All 3 games, you know what I mean? Like,
but think about it though. But the first 2 games against Miami, we had double-digit leads, so we couldn't hold on. So I mean, I think we match up well. We just played terrible, but I think we matched up well.
Here's what they do though,
and we're banged up too.
Miami figured out what to do for Randall. That's what they did.
Well, that
figured out exactly what to do with Randall.
The Heat are a high execution team. Like when you run into machines like that, right?
Exactly.
And they could run they have so many different looks they could throw at you. The second game, what happened? It was Ty Herro late. This last game, Duncan Robinson was hitting shots. Remember the second game, Duncan Robinson couldn't hit nothing. I think it was like 0 for 7 the second game against us. Third game, he's hitting shots. So not only that, they have talent, but they also execute. Go back to all the years where they didn't have like so-called great players. They were still fighting for 9th, 8th seed. You know what I mean? This is a team, or not ninth seed, but the ninth, fighting for the 8th spot. When they had guys like just Goran Dragic and an old, basically done Dwayne Wade. Like this team, they're so well coached, and like the stamina, all the fitness. Like, bro, James Johnson got fined. Was it fined or suspended because he came into camp like slightly out of shape? You know what I mean? So there again, the Knicks. We just, and I'm not ishing on us. I'm not gonna talk about pain or anything. Right now, we just don't have talent to really match up against either teams who are really, really talented like that or teams that can out-execute us. Like, we might steal a game here or there, but the Heat might always have our number until we get a little bit more talent. Because, again, Burks and Bullocks, they've been decent for, I guess, the amount of money we paying them, but night in and night out, they just don't do it. They're not consistent. Burks had 3 good games in previous games, but, again, Burks gives you 3, then he'll give you 5 bad games. Bullock is just, Bullock. Everybody knows Bullock on the scoring end. So,
and I'm gonna tell you, this team, I feel like this is a team we could really see in the playoffs. If we stay around in that 5th seed, 4th or 5th seed, we could see these guys in the playoffs. Right? I don't see them climbing into the top 3, Miami, but I could see them moving to the 4th seed. Right? And there's a chance that we could be at the 5th seed. Who knows what Boston is going to look like? There's a chance we could be at the 5th seed. And I'm going to tell you something that I feel like they can do to us. Other teams probably can do it, but maybe not as good as Miami. They can match up with this man and play us tooth for tooth playing man, but then come down the stretch like they did with a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter. They go zone. And now it's almost impossible for you to score enough points because now they're going zone and it slows you down. And they play a great zone that still almost feels like a man.
That's Spoelstra, man. That's what Spoelstra does. He's a mastermind when it comes to that kind of stuff.
You also know one thing, too? One guy who's basically like, it's crazy if you think about it, right? Because we play more of an inside-out game, right? Is Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
He is a terror. You can't look, RJ Barrett, as much as Shoes has improved, he has to start from the inside out. They start off the game. If RJ Barrett has a ball in his hands for the first play, he's running that pick and roll, drive, trap the defender on the hip, throw it up for the alley or floater. He couldn't get going on the inside. Then he tried it on the outside, wasn't going, tried to get on the inside, couldn't get it going. Julius Randle obviously still hobbled a little bit. Bam Adebayo is, he's only 6'9", 6'10", but he's a man. Like, so they have so many pieces, like you said, Sim. You talking about the trap up top with the 2 guys up top to hound you. Sometimes you play zone breakers, sometimes you don't. But guys like Nozoel and Taj has better hands. Nozoel has shaky hands. And it's like they're almost like the kryptonite to us. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are Mets fans. If you guys aren't, you should be ashamed of yourselves. They remind me of the Atlanta Braves against the Mets back in the late 90s, where it's like, we had Mike Piazza, we had all these people, and we still couldn't beat them for whatever. Like, they just have our number. So I don't want to see them. I don't want to see Bam. I don't want to see Tyler Hero. I don't want to see any of those guys. I think they're just a better team than us. And Bam is just, oh man, Bam is just, he's such a good player.
I feel like we really could, if we're in that, I feel like we could see them. I do. I feel like we can see them.
I want to see the Nets. I'm not gonna lie. This sounds crazy. Y'all gonna kill me in the chat. I want to see the Nets because if KD doesn't play, even though he's probably gonna play,
he's gonna play. He's gonna play.
I just feel an implosion coming on from Kyrie and those.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
I've been talking about that, Guillermo. I've been talking about that since they got Katie and Kyrie, and I'm putting everything on it. That team is going.
Listen, I am afraid. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I am afraid we go play the Nets and they're just gonna start clicking and blow us out by 25 every game. I do not want to mess around with the Nets in the first round, bro. I don't want to mess with them dudes in the first round.
They had to use the refs. I don't like blaming the refs, but they had to use the refs.
I know, but when I look at it, each game we played them, right? We took them to close games. The first game didn't have Kyrie or James Harden. Of course, the second game didn't have
KD or Kyrie.
KD. No, they had Kyrie, but they didn't have KD.
They have KD.
And I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to mess with them. And I'm gonna tell you something that I don't like. What I think some of these teams do. I know a lot of these teams do it. The Knicks can't afford to do it. Like Milwaukee, right? We played them a third game. I think that was the last game we played them. I don't think we played them again this season.
We don't.
We blew them out. They blew us out. But see, they're a better team than us. So they can say, you know what? We're not going to let them get any strategies against us. We're going to sit everybody. That way they have no film on us later on if we have to meet them in the playoffs. Teams do that kind of stuff. We can't afford to do that. But someone like Milwaukee can afford to do that. Right? And I feel like a lot of these teams do things like that where they're like, you know what? Instead of us playing everybody, we'll sit out Giannis tonight. Because now they can't tweak their game plan against Giannis.
Right.
Right? Or we'll sit out this guy so they can't tweak their game plan. You know, and then you get in the playoffs and you're like, okay, now what do we got to do? You got to try to game plan for them. I hate when teams do stuff like that. You know, but still, I don't want to see Brooklyn. I mean, I think it would be really, really tough against Miami. I think the Knicks, you know, can battle and get a game or two against Miami. Maybe. I don't think we beat them in a 4-game series. You know,
for the matchup against Brooklyn, we need that to be a blood sport. I want the refs to lose them whistles. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's getting kind of crazy.
I think this game that we just played was a big one as far as that series is concerned, because I think the Knicks needed to feel like they could beat them. I really do. Like, they played them twice. The games went right down to the wire. I feel like the Knicks are still a team. They know more about themselves, but they're still searching. They're still learning. I feel like they needed to beat Miami to prove to themselves that we can beat them. So when we get in a playoff match, now they have that confidence. Now I feel like, you know, they still might in their head be like, yo, we can beat them, but we're not sure. And you can't go into playoffs like that.
Well, you know what hurts too, Sim? Last game, I think they had almost double as many offensive rebounds than we had.
Yeah, they had 12. We had 6.
Oh, so more than double. My bad. Bam had what, 8 or something like that? 8 or 7 offensive. Like Mitchell Robinson, I know people like to kill him, but Mitchell Robinson's absence hurts us. Say what you want about the guy, but again, Taj Gibson knows what they've done an admirable job. But Mitchell Robinson getting you those extra 3, 4 offensive rebounds, maybe 5, 6 in a heated game like that. Yeah, that can be a game swinger. How many sloppy or how many plays, literally long rebounds, or we couldn't get the ball and it's juggling around. Someone gets it back on the Heat, they hit a big shot. You know what I mean? So little things like that. I think they just have us again. It's a talent thing, unfortunately. But if we had Mitch, you know, maybe you play up a little bit. You know, you play up the game a little bit. You have somebody who could, you know, bang down there with pause for anybody, whatever. Bang down there with Bam Adebayo, because again, Julius Randle was hurt. He's 60 to 80% on offense, and then you ask him to also exert that energy on defense. I know you have Taj and knows it well, but it's just it's not enough. Our front court.
Listen, there's only 3 teams that we should be worried about. You know, that's Philly, because we haven't played them in complete health. That's Brooklyn, because we for damn sure haven't played them in complete health. And that's Miami, because they are simply a much better team than us. Any of those teams get to 1 to 3, I'm fine, because that gives us the 4 seed, and that gives us to play against the number 5 seed. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm thinking about. That's 4 is playing 5, right? 4 is playing 5. Am I correct about that?
Yep.
So if the way I'm looking at it, those 3 teams, I think I feel like, you know, Milwaukee can drop. Milwaukee can drop down, and they could barely drop down and meet us at the number 5 seed and them at the number 4 seed while Miami moves up, especially if they don't got, you know, Giannis playing. You know, what are they 5 games?
They played Giannis the other day. I think they didn't play him just because it's, no offense, I'm not issuing the Knicks, but it's almost like, yeah, preserve him. He you know, let him rest a little bit. We can lose his game.
So did he play yesterday?
Yeah, he played yesterday.
Okay. Well, I mean,
bro, it was nothing wrong with them guys, man.
Yeah, they probably just.
There was nothing wrong with them at all.
There was nothing wrong with them guys, man.
They still almost. I mean, we still. You know, but
I don't like that.
The bumps are too deep.
There's nothing wrong with them, bro. I'm telling you. To me, it was all about the possibility that we could see them guys in the playoffs, and they know they can beat us. We don't know if we can beat them, even though we beat them 2-1 this year. We don't really know if we can beat them You know, I really feel like that was all just strategizing. Like, we're not going to let these guys get any kind of confidence against us and feel like they can beat us in a playoff series, because there's a chance that we can, you know, play them in the playoffs. I feel like it was really about that, because them guys wasn't injured, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, my point is that those are the only teams that I'm worried about.
Right.
And I'm happy with anywhere between 4 and 7 if we make that. You know what I mean? I'm happy with making the playoffs. If we make the number 4 or 5 seed, I have the expectation of getting out of the first round, because I don't want nothing to do with Philly. I don't want nothing to do with Brooklyn, and I hate saying that. Excuse me. I don't want nothing to do with New Jersey. I don't want nothing to do with Philly. And I don't want nothing to do with Miami. Those are the teams that I'm willing that I think we can avoid, in hopes that Miami drops off somewhere else and makes it somewhere else out of 6 through 8.
I don't want to see the Hornets either with LaMelo Ball. I'm sorry, like that.
LaMelo Ball's done, bro. He's
done for the season.
Yeah, he's done.
He's done for the season.
He's out.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
worried about
My
him.
bad. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? And if LaMelo Ball was healthy, that I was going to say that there's 4 teams that I'm worried about, and it would have been Charlotte. But LaMelo Ball's done for the rest of the season, so whether they make it or not, I expect them. You could actually expect them to potentially be in the play-in game.
That's true.
Depending on how much Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier can give you. But
I don't know, man.
They still beat us last year, though.
Charlotte is good. I think they're another team that could potentially be around that 4th seed or 5th seed. They're good.
Not without LaMelo.
They're not, but they're still a
Sam.
good team. I think they're a good team, and they're scrappy.
And they can run too.
And right now, what's his name is playing?
Hayward?
No,
Rozier?
He was playing good though.
Terry Rozier is playing really good basketball. Graham, of course, is now elevated back into that starting lineup. You know, we'll see how they, you know, I mean,
Him said it.
I think Charlotte is a tough team.
Somebody write it down. What's today? Today's the 30th. The 30th at 11:20.
they're a tough team, bro.
25. Sim says that Charlotte can make the number 4 or 5 seed. Is that correct? Are we going with it?
I think if we can make the number 4 or 5 seed, if we can make it, I think they can make it. They're a tough team.
Yeah, I saw that game they had against
team.
Arizona. The game against Arizona, I was pleasantly surprised at how well Terry just filled right in. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I don't know. Like,
Wait, who'd you say against who?
Against Arizona.
Phoenix.
Oh, against Phoenix. I was like, Arizona. What? Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's on my hey, what
Phoenix.
What? They play the college team? What's going on here?
Cardinals don't play basketball.
I got you.
Yeah, right. My bad. But yeah, I saw that game against Phoenix. They lost in overtime. It was a good game until then. Well, actually, it was a good game all the way until then. And
Yeah, when
I
overtime.
wouldn't sleep on them. But I'm not scared of them. I'm
not scared of them. I'm talking about. I'm petrified of playing
Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn.
Jersey and Miami in the first round. I'm petrified of that. If we got a way of strategizing to not meet those, meaning we're hoping that Miami is 6 through 8, and we're hoping we get Charlotte in the first round or any other team in the first round, I'm good. Because that means, as it stands, Philly would play whoever's number 8. The Sixers would play. The Sixers would play number 8. You know, Brooklyn would play number 7. Hopefully, number 3 would play Miami, and then the Knicks and Charlotte 4 and 5. I'm cool with that, but I don't want Miami to be 4 and 5 because that's where I expect to be at. I don't want to be number 3 because I don't want to play any of the top 3. You know what I mean? I don't want to be number 7 because I don't want to play any of the top 3. And if we can get 4 and 5 and be against Charlotte, we got a good chance of getting out of that first round.
So if we're 6 through 8, we're playing the top 3. We're 6 through 8.
Screwed.
We're playing the top 3.
But how about just being scared, period, that we don't really have anything like Julius Randle being hurt, hobbling, right? We've been very lucky, knock on wood, all that stuff. And now the guy's he's shown some attrition, right? I mean, the fact that, you know, he had that thigh injury, whatever it was, whatever he had, a contusion, whatever he had.
Thigh, yeah.
the fact that he's basically 68% of our offense, and we don't have, and I'm not going to kill, RJ's not there yet. He's not Michael Redd or whatever. You know what I mean? Payton has been,
Michael Redd? Did you say Michael Redd?
No, I'm just saying with the shooting, he's not there yet. He's improved the shooting. I'm just saying he's not there yet.
I'm like, Michael Redd? Why'd you?
No, I'm just saying he's not there yet. So even, we could play, I don't know what the Raptors are. I'm scared, period, that we don't have consistency. Like, who is our go-to guys that you say, yo, look, Randall's out, we go with these guys. LaMelo's out, and the Hornets still producing. You got why am I losing track of this damn team? I had an injury. I didn't have an injury, sorry. The Bucks, they're benching at third stringers, almost beat us the other night with ridiculous outside shooting. Like, I'm more scared that once it gets to the playoffs, Randall's gonna be more beaten up, and they're gonna basically play his passing lanes and all that stuff. We don't have anything else besides Randall and a little bit of what RJ's developed. Like
about Randall, I have that same fear about Randall. I got a little bit more faith in RJ than you do. But
whoa. RJ's my son. What are you talking about?
Randall, whoa now. Whoa, Nelly now.
Whoa. No. Okay. No. I took scars for RJ. Don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
You was talking crazy about RJ earlier this season.
I never ever for 1 second, you can check the tape. Are you worried about RJ? When he stunk it up for the 5th game in the row, I was like, never am I worried about RJ. He's the dog.
Oh, no. Guillermo, I apologize. That wasn't you. I apologize. You wasn't talking crazy. That was
Guillermo been waving his RJ flag too. But that don't diminish my RJ.
No,
I've been straight up delusional about RJ. All right, I'll say that. But I think my main fear about this team is it's too heavy on Randall. This man had a Charlie horse this whole last game, and we couldn't do nothing about it. We just needed to put him back in there. He wasn't ready.
You know why I don't fear? Why I only fear the playoffs and the top 3, and the only reason I fear that is getting eliminated. But at the end of the day, bro, like, we've already exceeded all expectations.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I'm happy,
that's true.
Bro.
That's true.
Like, if we used to go on a losing streak right now, I'm good.
I wouldn't be happy.
You wouldn't be happy, but I'm saying as far as when we as fans project what we think is going to happen in the beginning of the season, we're already well on track to passing that, even with the rough schedule coming up, towards the end of the season. For me, once again, I've said it multiple times before, if we win 18 games this season, we made progress, because we won 21 last season, and 18 games on a shortened 10-game shortened up season is kind of pans its way out. If we win 18 games this season, we're good. And I feel like we've already met that basic expectation of getting better. On top of that, all the cap space we got, all the only 6 contracts that we got, you know what I mean? Like we have put ourselves so far ahead of where we've been over the last 20 years that for anybody to expect that we make the playoffs and get out of the first round is just, you look at our history, it's preposterous to think that you make a jump from being one of the bottom teams to making the middle of the pack in the playoffs and not being in a middle of the pack situation. You know what I mean? Like, those middle of the pack teams, those teams that are barely making the playoffs or getting eliminated in the first round, those are the dudes that have like a couple $26 million contracts that they're stuck in, that they got to eventually move, that they can't move, that, they're in basketball purgatory. Like, we don't have any of those stigmas, and we're still there in the middle of the pack. This is something to rejoice over, y'all. Like, this is something to be really, really excited for, because the sky's the limit as far as what we can do in the coming years. We only have 6 players that are on contract for the following year. Yeah, that gives us like $70 million. We can do so much.
Yeah, I think they're happy, but again, don't the cap space. That's because, again, the next 2 free agencies is going to be relatively weak, and you have to think that guys like Drew Holiday, even a Mike Conley, might resign. So again, I'm a little disappointed. Again, I wasn't going to trade RJ or Randall this season, especially after Randall changed his game. I'm not trading him this season. But you look at the inactivity on part of the Knicks, right? I think that Worldwide West, or not just Worldwide West, excuse me, but Leon Rose, they failed to pivot to a change in Randall's game, and then obviously RJ's ascension. I mean, again, go out and maybe again don't make a ridiculous trade and give up 3 firsts or whatever for LaVine, something crazy like that. But you're looking at the league, for a team that couldn't re-sign the guy, did they go hard after a guy like Gary Trent Jr., who fits his team as a 3, could shoot, could defend? That's a guy you bring on. You try to. You have Worldwide West speaking to say and say, hey, we'll get this contract. You go to the club, or not clubs, because it's all, the C word, pandemic, whatever. But you say, hey, back channels, hey, we got you in this contract. If we get a deal with the Blazers, would you come to the Knicks? I got you on this contract. All right, we good. Boom, make the trade. You got him. That's the type of guy you say, hey, the next few years, free agency is going to be weak. Let's try to get these players who this team can't resign. They're looking to push out. Terrence Ross. We look at this lineup. Terrence Ross, I'm sorry, is a better scorer than Burks. You know what I mean? You bring that guy on. I think he has 1 more year in his contract, I think. 2.
He's got 2.
He has 2 more years in his contract. That's your bench score.
Right, exactly. No, I was going to say it's a descending contract, right? It goes down from 13.5 to like 11.5 over the next. This year's 13.5, then the next 2 years it goes 12.5, 11.5. But yeah, that's your bench score for the next couple of years.
For 2 years. Yeah, but you tell the Magic, hey, you want to rebuild? We'll give you 2 seconds. We'll give you. I think we have several in 2023, which is a high school year. If you want to build after that, we'll give you one. You know what I mean? So I didn't like the foresight that this. And I have my own conspiracies. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna get killed for saying it.
Don't say it then. Say it.
I want to say it badly.
I know where you're at. I know what you're thinking.
I want to say it so badly because it looks like it's all you guys. It does not make any sense as to what Leon, unless now someone says it wasn't me, that they're trying to again gear up for the Booker Cat combination, which I'm in fear of because one, you can't predict Booker coming over here, especially if the Suns do well. And Cat, as much as I think he's a talented player, he didn't fill the Tibbs before. He's not a guy who's truly, he doesn't play to his abilities. He doesn't play fully to his abilities. And then obviously the mom thing, I think he actually needs a year off from basketball, just with all the stress, everything that's going on in his life. I don't want us to be Kentucky CAA factor, and I think that's where it's getting to. So I have my other conspiracy behind it.
So the only thing, because I do agree, I wanted to make a move at the trade deadline. No, it didn't have to be anything major, just something that solidifies the scoring, because clearly we can see scoring is an issue for us, right? Something that solidifies the scoring. I just hold out hope that maybe they have word on something that we just haven't heard of yet.
You're putting your chips in too many chips in one basket, Sam. If you gearing up for what? If you say, okay, say it's Devin Booker, Sam.
I don't know. I'm just saying maybe they have word on this, maybe 1 or 2 players, and they're like, we're cool right now, right? We're not going to kill our chemistry right now, but in the summer or not trade deadline, but the draft, we know this guy and this guy is going to be available at the draft. Or we know this guy is going to be available over the summer, or it's possible they're going to be available over the summer. So we're going to save our chips for that instead of, make a move for Victor Oladipo right now. You know what I'm saying?
They better hit some. They
I
better
hope
hit
so.
on this.
I hope so. I mean, they've got to, they've got to. And by the way, for the people, and I know I'm just making fun of it right now, you know what I'm saying? And he's probably going to play better, but, for the people that was upset about Evan Fournier, he went 0 for 10, 0 points the other day with Boston. So just want to say.
Listen, somebody, I can't remember who it was. I think it was like Isaiah or Josh or something. Yeah, it was Josh. They were like, oh, yeah, all the teams on the East that made trades got better. Atlanta got better with the signing of Lou Williams, and this team got better. And then they're like, Boston got better by signing Evan Fournier. And I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like, Boston needed a big, and they got a little. Boston needed a big, and they got a little. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you guys have Evan Fournier on Twitter, but
Yeah, I've seen that.
Evan Fournier was like, there was a lot of Boston fans that were like trying to figure out like who's Evan Fournier, and then he tweets to Celtics and all Boston fans like, Google me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Google my
I saw
last
that.
name. Google my last name.
Google my last name.
Right.
Because
Because his last name
10.
comes up with some crazy. It comes up with some crazy definition.
Yeah. I don't care what it comes up with.
Right.
You went 0 for 10, bro. Like, what are we talking about here?
The past couple of years.
Because I think the reason why he said it is because Fournier gangrene is a type of necrotizing fasciitis or gangrene affecting the external genitalia or perineum.
Oh.
I think that's why he told him to Google Fournier.
Oh,
And he's playing for a green team. That says tragedy written all over it. No wonder why
let him
busted
live,
balls
man.
all game yesterday. You didn't shoot nothing.
Right.
You were horrible.
He's got some
My point is, for what it's worth,
God,
Boston got worse. They made a move and got worse. Unless their intent was to clear up some type of cap when they made that move, which, whatever. Boston got worse, right? Atlanta got better, certainly. Who else made a trade?
I think Chicago got better.
Chicago got
better.
way
The
better.
Nuggets got better. The Nuggets, that's my championship team right there, man. I'm going with the
I'm
Nuggets.
talking
Well,
about
on
the
the
East,
West,
bro.
but-
Oh, you're talking about the East? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, I'm talking about the East, bro.
People
I'm
that
talking
are
about-
fighting with
so
us,
the
yeah.
teams that got better. Chicago got better. We just got to wait and to see that those teams gel. But at least talent, as far as hard stat line numbers, Chicago got better. But out of those teams, are any of those teams beating us in a 5-7 game series? Are any of those teams going to get in a higher position of us rated in the playoffs? And I don't see that happening, even though they did get better.
I would not say that. If you have a healthy Tatum and a decent Kemba, they could beat us. I know we beat them by 30 last time, and they have Tatum and they had Kemba coming back. But Celtics, that's a team that you don't want them to get hot. Again, I know you might be looking. I know us Knicks fans, we're feeling good. Trust me.
No. Listen. You got to understand. I was at the season opener last year when Kemba, he lit us up. But we're not the same team that we were.
We're not, but they're still a talented team. Like, again, if they're healthy, if they're not healthy, that's different, right? But again, Tatum, I think people because it's like we don't see Tatum. Again, he's not having as good a year. He's been hurt a little bit, but he's still a legitimate two-way player who could impact the game both ways and close. And we've seen with the next game. And again, another guy no one talks about, Jaylen Brown, who's just up. Well, I don't know exactly what his numbers are this year, but last year he was absurdly efficient. He's up, and the crazy thing about Jaylen Brown, he actually sometimes does not take enough shots. Go back to the playoffs. He literally shied away from being aggressive, and it's like, dogs, you put up 20 in your sleep because he's that efficient, can finish around the basket, shoot the three, and defend. I don't want to see again. I know we feel good because we're the Knicks. We got Bullock, Burks, and Peyton. And even Todd. No. I'm not. No. Because I'm not issuing on them. What I'm saying is that we're depending on guys who should be at your bench, or they should be at the tail end of your bench, or for, like 10, 15 minutes a game. And you depend on some of these guys for major production. When you come in and Burks is your main ball handler because you don't have a point. I know I'm not going to issue on Peyton, but again, that's one of the issues. You talking about putting that team up against a healthy Celtics team? I don't think it's as easy as people make it sound, man.
Well,
just
we'll see what happens when we play them again. Boston is, we beat them the first time. We haven't played them again. When we start coming down the stretch of the season, that's when we really do start to see, how we're going to match up with these guys when we get in the playoffs. How would it look and those type of things. So we will see. The thing about Boston, I don't know. I'm just not sure that we would match up with them in the playoffs right now. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna be in the playoffs, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it. But I think they're gonna be one of the 6, 7, 8 seeds maybe this year. I just don't know if they have right now. I don't know if they've built enough chemistry to be able to make one of those runs. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they have, and they're probably
the chemistry shouldn't be thrown off because only thing they added was gangrene.
Yeah, but you know
That's the only
every
thing they added.
but you know every season like you start building a whole new chemistry every year. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
You
Fair
know,
enough.
and maybe it just never really hit the road this year. For
I
whatever
ain't worried
reason,
about
due to
Boston.
injuries, this and that, you know, just never really hit the road.
And
So
also Marcus Smart. I'm sorry to cut you off, Sim. Marcus Smart in the playoffs last year, he was a key facility. People issue him, he's just all souped up Frank. Nah, in the playoffs, he hit big shots. He was facilitating. He's one of their glue guys. So again, like Sim said, you don't have to. It's actually sometimes you don't make trades, and you have the same guys you went to war with last year, and you develop, you find out new parts of yourself or new parts of your game. And we don't need those guys being healthy. So again, I know Evergreen, you're feeling good. It feels great. The Knicks are doing good. We ain't ready for some of these playoff teams.
So
even the Raptors, even the Raptors could, if they make it, I'd rather something like that.
The Raptors guy.
I mean, the
They're like
Raptors.
6 games back. They're like 6 games
Yeah.
back.
Well, they can make the 10th seed still. They're 2.5 games out of the 10th seed. So they
Right.
can still make the
Raptors
10th seed. You know, but then, you know, if
Do
they
not
got in the
sleep.
playoffs, then they'd have to face, you know, maybe face the number 1 seed if they got into the playoffs. Because at the 10th seed, you're looking at the best you can get in is the 8th seed. So, you know, that's, I don't know. Chicago's in the 8th seed, is in the 10th seed right now. They're 19 and 26. Then after that, Indiana, they're 21 and 24. They're still a threat. Let me get to a couple of super. Justin Hernandez, thank you for the super chat. These are from a long time ago too. He said, "Get Dang to stretch the floor." Dang's out of there, bro. Dang's in San Antonio, so we're not getting
Yeah, he's
Dang.
locked
Kaiser
up.
Soul said we should have drafted Halliburton. I mean, listen, that ship is going and sailed, bro. Nothing we could do about that. Kaiser Souls, again, thank you for the super chat. He said, I can understand trying to avoid that one team that has your number, but y'all talking about avoiding 3 to 4 teams. That's almost ridiculous.
You're right. I agree.
That is right.
7 teams in the top.
Right. We've got to find a way to get that one team we want to play. And then,
4 and 5. 4 and 5. Charlotte and the Knicks.
right. And then Eric
Keep it right
Gonzalez.
there.
I still don't want to see show. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
Eric Gonzalez, he said, necrotizing fasciitis is a flesh-eating bacteria that is the color of green and smells absolutely awful. I don't know I don't want to know how you know how it smells. So I'll leave that there. He said it's green and awful like the Celtics. Yeah, I don't
Man's got some
know. I don't want to
discomfort.
know how you know how that smells, because I don't want to know how that smells. One last question before I get out of here. If the Knicks, let's say we get down to the last couple of games and the Knicks are, boom, they're slotted into the 6th spot or the 7th spot. They can't really go up. They can't go up. They can't go down. This Tom Thibodeau, rest his guys. 2 games left. They can't go up. They can't go down. This is where they are. I doubt it's going to be like that, but let's just say it is. Does Tom Thibodeau give Julius Randle and RJ Barrett some time to rest their bones?
He better.
No, they could still learn some things on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna play for 44 minutes in a blowout game. He's gonna keep them in, you know, build up character while they destroy their bones. And
You know, it's so crazy because we have so many fans that defended the narrative. Even you, Sim. Yeah, I'm gonna put some this blame on you to defend the narrative of, you know, oh, you know, Derrick Rose didn't play that much minutes and Jimmy Butler didn't play that much minutes.
They did.
Yeah, right. And then you go and you look at this team and like Julius Randle was like 41 minutes a game. RJ Barrett's like 38, 39 minutes a game. And these dudes are getting like destroyed and they just keep playing and he's not subbing and he puts in Obi for a minute and snatches him back off the floor. And it's like
He deserves to be snatched off the floor most of the time.
Like, it's so hard to keep this narrative up of like he's a great coach. But like the flaws that man has as a coach are like bad flaws. They're really bad.
he's a buffer coach, man. That's my conspiracy. They use him as a buffer because, again, he couldn't get hired anywhere else. For a guy who's still, and he's a student of the game. Tom Thibodeau is he's a coach's coach. He's from that George Karl, not his temperament, George Karl, but that coach's coach. of knowing everything on the floor, knowing your percentages here, blah, blah, blah. And yet he couldn't get hired because there's some flaws, some just fatal characteristics.
But there were some teams that were going to interview him.
Oh,
he took himself off the market early.
Didn't the Post or something like that report that, Tom Thibodeau was close? And then it was like, oh, yeah, he's about to sign like any day now. And it was like another 3 weeks.
No, they didn't say that.
Kind of clean him up.
Huh?
Was that
no, I mean, there were questions that they were asking questions about. Is he going to wait to interview with Houston? Is he going to wait to interview with this team or that team?
Yeah, he was waiting for that.
Right?
He pulled
because
himself off the market.
They had said they had interest in him, but he took himself off the market.
I could never see him with Houston, especially when they still thought they had Harden. They would have never hired him. They hired, can't remember the black dude. I can't remember his name. To be like, they were not going to hire him.
He's regretting that he's playing there. That he's coaching there. I could tell you that right now. Did you see the one interview he did where they were asking about something that John Wall did, and he was just like, he just shook his head down. And I was like, yo, he can't wait to get out of it. And he stuck with John Wall for a while. He might quit that job. He looked sad. He looked super sad.
Oh, you talking about when John Wall did that 360 layup?
No, it was like I didn't watch the game or anything. I just seen a little clip of the interview, and he took like a 3 or something, and he was like, "No, the play." They asked him, "Was it drawn up for John Wall?" And he was like, "No, it was supposed to end up in a screen, but obviously it didn't get that way. It didn't get to that screen." And I was like, "Damn, he's hurting with this one."
They asked him if the pressure was getting heavy, and he just and was like, I'm like, yo.
Yeah, it's bad for him.
Check on this man.
Bro, they lost 20 in a row.
That is
20 in a row.
Why didn't we go after Eddie House?
That's Eddie House. Hey, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Get used to Thibodeau, because this is going to be a hard dismissal after the turnaround that we've had from last season.
I'm going to tell you what.
Yeah, that's a hard dismissal.
I'm going to tell you what. Tom Thibodeau is not going to be the coach for the Knicks for the next 15 years, right? That's not going to happen. No. You can guarantee that. That's not going to happen.
I can see 4 more years happening.
Right? That's not going to happen. I think he's going to get the Knicks good. I think he is. I think he's going to get the Knicks good. But prepare for a Larry Brown type of exit. Let's say that. That's all I'm going to say, because it just...
What?
Yes.
There are certain guys that are at some point... Larry Brown is that type of guy. You just know, like, it's nice and it's good and this and that. But at some point, he's got the kind of characteristic and personality that
just...
it doesn't start to work. He wears thin. And it's going to happen it might happen like that. Let me say might. It might happen like that with Tom Thibodeau too.
And why?
I think he just has that kind of personality.
They're putting all the chips in one basket to get this player and this player versus getting this guy here and making an actual concerted effort to put talent around the team. Trust me, because Leon Rose ain't going to be the first one to be fired. It'll be Tom Thibodeau who'll get the blame. I mean, the Knicks just don't do well
But hold on. Let's before we jump this gun, guys, this idea that we're not making a concerted effort to get players.
I said
hold on, Guillermo.
No, because you're saying something I didn't say. I'm saying that because Tim said that if we're putting all our chips in one basket, right? Then that shows they're looking to get that Booker or that big, the Booker cat, whatever. If they're doing that, if the team suffers or fails, the blame is going to be on Tom Thibodeau, right? He's going to take the blunt of the blunt of all the blame, and he would be fired because again, his coaching style. Even though it's been effective, and I like Tom Thibodeau, but like Sim said, it always kind of gets to that point where he wears players out a little bit, and there's going to be some type of discord between some of the players. And if you don't get talent around them to kind of help out the team, it could turn into that. Now, obviously, you're not going to play with Burks and Bullock for the next 5 years, but I'm saying, like, if they don't get some talent on his team, it could definitely go that way. And I could definitely see that Larry Brown kind of, all right, let's get the wacky guy out of here, even if it's not all his fault. So.
See, but when we're talking about acquiring talent, like we're making it seem like this was the year that it was detrimental for us to do so, right? Like this was a year that we clearly overperformed, where that expectancy for us to get talent wasn't necessary. It's not like we came into the All-Star break and we were 5 games under 500, where it's like, okay, deadline's coming up in a month and a half. Like, we got to make a move. It's like, no, like, holy crap, the experiment that we did over the draft, the players that we got over the draft and that we signed, we've done something good with, where this is the point in time where we can afford to, not necessarily make any big moves in hopes to see where we're at right now and potentially building a culture. This isn't our time to do so.
No, but perspective, if your next 2 free agencies are going to be weak, right? If you're building for the future, you make those smart moves. And again, if you're a fluid team, if you're a smart team, if you have Worldwide West supposed to be the snake, and you have a GM, an agent as a top level agent as a GM, you're supposed to be thinking, and you have a capologist, you're supposed to be thinking 3-4 steps ahead of everybody else. So make that move, because in the next few years, you may not be able to get that guy. And I'm not saying, again, not crazy trades, right? But for the simple fact that no one came in to help this team. Yeah, just because we're winning. I agree with that. I love the development. All I care about really is development. If we win or not, it's whatever. But again, if you're building for the future, you got to make smart moves before everybody else gets ahead of you for the future. Given that, again, the market is not going to be favorable for us. So that's all I'm saying. And again, you depend on a draft. You depend on Ayo Dosunmu to come in and be a lead point guard. I mean, like, I'm just saying, those smart moves,
I feel like those smart moves have already been made for us. Like, we've already made those smart moves. We already have that. Like, if you're talking about, the capologist doing his job, well, he definitely did his job, right? We still got $14 million that we got to pay players. You know what I mean? Like, if there was a guy that definitely did, the bulk of his job, he did it. Right? Name me another team that still got $14 million to spend on players, right? That capologist did his job.
Right,
and we still
I'm saying capologist, Worldwide West, the front office. You have
right. And then what does a snake do? A snake, when a snake bites you, it's a small move that ends up paying big dividends in the end, right?
Yeah,
a snake bites you
eggs.
And
they also steal eggs for their family. They feed it for themselves. I don't know really what snakes. I don't know what we're talking about.
No. Listen. Here's my point, guys. Here's my point. My point is.
Yo, shut up, Sappy.
My point is Worldwide West. My point is everybody in this organization did their job, and not only did they do it to the best of their ability, they've completely exceeded their ability, and it's like. We've got so much more juice out of this lemon than what was expected, and everyone still is like, but we should have did more. And it's like, what more do you expect? We went from being a bottom seed team the previous year to being a playoff contending team right now. We don't have any major financial responsibilities. We got 7 draft picks in the next 3 years. Right. Like, and most of these were trades that happened between this off season and now. Right. And it's like, we still have this expectation, like, we should have got Gary Trent Jr. We should have been able to find a way to get Andre Drummond here. And we should have got.
That's you.
No. Well, no. What I'm saying is I wanted him. But I'm not going to go and forcefully get him. Let's before we jump down that rabbit hole, I want him here, but I want him here in the means of making it fiscally and financially responsible for us.
Agreed.
To where we can still maintain this. I wasn't going to say trade. Sim, did I say trade for Andre Drummond?
No,
did I say that?
I just wanted to, in the chat. Quattro Cinco. He said, "You guys gonna have Worldwide West calling in the show if y'all keep capping like this."
No, and this is what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying though is, and I love what Thibodeau is doing. I love everything that Tom Thibodeau is doing, and I think he's gonna make the team a lot better in the coming years. And this is all speculation, and I'm not even going to go any further and talk about this anymore besides tonight, right? So it's not something I'm going to be pushing. It's just kind of coming up right now. Just looking at his personality traits, I feel like when that end comes, whenever it is, because I don't think he's going to be here forever. Whenever it is, it's going to be a struggle back and forth between something that happens, something that he wants that he feels like he's not getting, and it's going to be something, and it's going to, I feel like it's probably going to end that way. I just feel like that's kind of how and who he is. Did it end like that in Chicago?
Oh,
It ended like that in Minnesota.
Chicago, no. Well, no, yeah, it did end like that in Chicago. Who are they? What were they trying to do? Because it was when Chicago, it was what? Derrick Rose came back. Jimmy Butler was the man when Derrick Rose came back.
It was like a civil war between
Derrick Rose got moved. Right? Isn't that what happened? Derrick Rose came to us after Chicago. No. Yeah, he came to us after Chicago. I feel like it had something to do with that. It had something to do with that.
And it may not even be Tom Thibodeau's fault. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like, it just seems like, it could be that be like that when it gets to that point. Just looking at the personalities, you got Tom Thibodeau. Leon Rose seems like a cool guy, though, right? That is maybe kind of shrewd. You got Worldwide West, who, he's not really in the spotlight, but I'm pretty sure he has a big personality in the front office and those type of things. So, and now you got someone like, well, he wasn't in the front office anyway. Woody, he wasn't in the front office. So, and that's I'm looking to see how. Just look at how you never know how much one coach means to a team, even if they're assistants. Right. See how much if things look different or if things happen differently without
that
Woody.
Hurt me.
Well, I will
there.
Say this, Sim. I will say
it hurt me.
That was a big. That might have been a double blow on Mitchell Robinson. That might have been a double blow on Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson gets injured. Mike Woodson leaves. All of a sudden, Dallas wants a part of Mitchell Robinson. Like maybe the tell of the tape is there regarding Woodson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't hear Mitchell Robinson getting his name screamed at by Tibbs like that, like he does Obi. So all I'm saying is maybe there's something there that we don't see. And again, I don't want to speculate because we're all on a blue and orange high right now.
Right. The reason why I say that is because undoubtedly every player is going to connect with a coach. Right? Just definitely players who connected with Woody that this guy was a little bit angry, Woody just knew how to smooth it over. Right? Or Woody knew how to take that guy's concerns and bring it to Tom Thibodeau. Now Woody's not there. Can somebody step up and be that guy that Woody was for that player? You just never know. And it leaves it's kind of an abrupt exit. Not that it was a bad exit, just abrupt exit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So we'll see how, I think, I don't know. I don't want to say I think, but we'll see what kind of impact that has on players.
But how about this, Sim? Do you think that Leon Rose is using the Knicks? Because, Coach Colorblocks brought this up before that. Maybe Leon Rose is using the Knicks kind of like you come and you get paid. You come and you do your assistant coaching job. You're in the under the CAA banner, and we'll get your job elsewhere. Maybe Woody wasn't supposed to be here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Because again, that IU job, especially when it's a college coaching job, you typically know when that job is open, right? A coach has been losing for the past 3, 4, 5 years. They, all those connects, they tell you, we're looking up. So again, Woody may just come in to get paid. Now, I'm not hating on it. That's great for him. But do you fear that him bringing in some of these coaches, especially we have so many young, impressionable players, right, that can use a development, that it's more like a coaching factory where you get these Johnny Bryan and Kenny Payne. I'm not saying they're not good assistant coaches. They seem to be, but they're not going to be here for maybe more than 1 or 2 years, and they're out. And all that development falls on not just Tibbs, it's most of the players, but, these guys really aren't going to get consistent development. I mean, Leon Rose, again, he's looking out for his people, man. This is going to be a CAA UK factory. Just to me, I just feel like, especially if we draft BJ Boston, I'm gonna throw up. In the first round we draft him, I'm gonna throw up. But it's just they're kind of pivoting towards that.
I wonder where the CAA and UK connection is. Is there a coach that is Calipari? Is he CAA? Is he represented by CAA?
You see.
Because I mean, clearly, we have that connection. And listen, to me, if we end up winning, I could care less. But but what you but what you're saying about he's with, so there you go, the connection, right? But of course, what you're saying about the coaches coming in, and then it's like, hey, we're gonna get you here. You get this on your resume, da 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 da, and then if another whatever comes up, you move on. It could be. I mean, if it works for the Knicks, I really don't care. But of course, it could have a detrimental effect on the development of the players and the team, right? Because when you have coaches that are around 3, 4, 5 years, you start to know the little things that pushes a player's buttons, right? You know how they're going to react in this type of situation. So, we got to pull this guy because you know what he's about to do right now. Like different things like that you start to know, and you develop these relationships. Like it or not, yeah, it's a business, but you still develop relationships. These young guys still look up to some of these coaches as father figures and stuff like that. And it does have an impact if they're constantly coming and going. And you can't build a culture. It's hard. You can start to build a culture, but you start pulling pieces from it. It's hard to replace that same piece. Once you, like when they're bringing somebody to replace Woodson, he's not going to be the same guy, right? And he's going to bring his own personality. So you've really got to do a good job of vetting who do we bring in. If Woody was like the older uncle to everybody that the guys really looked up to and stuff like that, can you bring in a guy that does that same thing? Or do you not even try to do that? Or, you just say, we're not going to try to replace what Woody did. We're going to bring someone in that can fit in with their own style. It's hard to say, but, I think that's a good point. We'll see how it goes.
You mentioned all these guys they might bring in. What about some of Tibbs' old guys? That's an indictment. When you talked about he's not going to be they're not bringing in his guys. So again, he's on, I won't say borrowed time, but it seems like that.
I don't know. We're gonna find out. Shout out to Eric Gonzalez. He said, we were talking about the necrotizing fasciitis. He said, I'm a nurse in the OR, so I've done surgeries removing the flesh. That's how he knows about it. So,
salute.
I've never done surgeries removing the flesh, but my stepfather, he had gangrene in his leg, right? Oh. And when he was in prison, they were it started to spread up his leg, and it's a crazy story on how he got gangrene. It's a wild story, but it started to spread, and they gave him, he went to a hospital, Albany Med, went to the hospital, and it was like, we can try to save it. We could try to get all of the poison out. We could try to save it. Of course, he was like, let's try to save it. Right? And, they did whatever they had to do to try to save it. And when he came home from prison, his leg was, all you could see was muscle and veins in his leg, because they had the skin graft, right? They had to take everything off or whatever, take off all the skin to try to get the poison out, and then they did a skin graft. So they took a piece of skin from one part of his body and they put it on the leg. It was like his calf from his knee down to his foot. They put it on the leg, and the skin would have to grow back, right? Yep. And so when you took all the bandage off, all you saw was just straight up meat, no skin, just meat and veins and all of that. Dermis. Right. And we would have to sit there. Me and my brother would have to, we had to take off the bandage, clean it, to help him out, and then bandage it back up.
I think you said you're gonna sit down and have him tell stories with like his foot like right in your face. Like, oh,
he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He was cool. He didn't do that. He was cool. He didn't do that. It was a crazy story, right? Because, fortunately, he passed away. From the gangrene because they didn't get it out. It spread throughout his body, right? But when he was really young, and he was on, like, he grew up in Utica, and there was this house there. Even when I was there was this house there that the lady put white stuff all around her house, right? And we all knew we would all cross the street. When we got to that place, we would cross the street because the story was that she was a witch. That was the story. So He told me that when he was young, she still had the white stuff around her house. He went up on her porch because she had an apple tree right there. He went up on the porch and took an apple. He said she came out the door, right? And he tried to run off the porch and he fell. And when he fell, he said she put her hands out like this and said that you are going to die because of your legs.
Oh.
That's the story that it told me.
That's effed up. And I believe in so hey, I believe it.
Craziness.
The stranger thing.
Mitchell Robinson's got a foot injury.
Yo.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Why would you? This guy. Come on, man.
You piss somebody off.
But you know what? I'm gonna head out of here, fellas, on that one. Rest in peace to my step pops.
Peace.
Peace. But I'm gonna head out of here. Any last words? We'll start with you, Savvy.
Watch out, Minnesota. We're back and we're angry. Salute Knicks family and YK all day. Let's get it.
All right. Evergreen.
I don't know, man. I'm not looking forward to betting anything and predicting anything. I'm done. Those days are long past me. I'm gonna let those things come naturally. Let's just play basketball. And
I never heard so much uncertainty in Evergreen's voice.
Listen, man, the things that I've wanted haven't happened.
I feel you.
I wanted Drummond.
Hey, you gotta
Mount Vernon talk. He was never come. All that Mount Vernon. Hey.
Keep dumping the clip, man.
Yeah, whatever. I've been up all day, so I'm tired. I gotta get to bed, bro. Peace to everybody.
Yeah.
And
Guillermo.
That's it. What you got, G?
Oh man, thanks for having me on, man. Salute to the chat, man. Evergreen, Savvy, Sim, Nate was here, man. Salute to you guys, man. Again, I know Evergreen is getting at me. I'm happy. I'm more than happy with the way this team is playing. Randall, I mean, obviously he's kind of hurt now. RJ Barrett, even though he's had some inefficient games, but that Wizards game where he took over in the fourth quarter, drawing fouls, controlling the pace. I like seeing development from these players. I'm not gonna say until who did Evergreen say should be Rookie of the Year? I missed that conversation.
I said the conversation should be like, it shouldn't be Anthony Edwards right now because the efficiency is like so horrible, right? If anything, right now, like my runner-up right now is Halliburton because of the numbers are just 3 points off from what Edwards is at, but his efficiency is higher than Emmanuel Quickley's. And what Sim was saying is if Emmanuel Quickley, could string a couple of 20-point games that are needed and, keep that average of like 12 to 15 points a game on average, like he could potentially steal away with this because the rest of the league has to get put on notice about what the Knicks are doing. And part of it is because of his contribution. If I'm paraphrasing that correctly, right, Sim?
Yeah, basically. If he could have some big games down the stretch and some big games where, we need to get this win to, for the playoffs and stuff like that, and he has a couple of those games, then they got to at least look at him a little because Minnesota's not in the playoffs. Sacramento's not in the playoffs. They at least got to look at Quickly a little bit different.
And the reason I came up with that, Guillermo, is just because, if you recall properly, Quickly kind of got snubbed from making that all rookie team, right?
Yep.
But then, the day after the All-Star break, they said that Emmanuel Quickley is risen up to the second spot in the rookie power rankings. And it's like, well, how the hell did that happen if no team has played a game? That means that he should have been there at the height of those power rankings before the All-Star break, or at least 3 days before the All-Star break when the last NBA game had been played. So, considering that, and he was at number 2 with LaMelo Ball being number 1, and LaMelo Ball is injured, and I personally don't think that Anthony Edwards should have made that All-Star team, that rookie team, just because of how incredibly inefficient he was on top of the amount of minutes he's playing. Quickley is just as efficient, and he's playing 10 to 11 less minutes than what he is. Same thing with Halliburton, and he's equally as efficient as Halliburton. So, that's all I'm getting at is this, Quickley, if we can get Quickley to play consistently within, I would say if Quickley can put together 15 points a game from now on to the end of the season on that average, there's no reason why he shouldn't be the rookie of the year, regardless of Edwards putting up, a 42-point game and then still stinking up the place for the rest of the season like he's been doing. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. This is about efficiency for me, not just about flash and 360 dunks.
Right. Well, we're going to see him tomorrow night, man. We'll see him tomorrow night.
I hope he doesn't do that dunk like he did on YouTube.
Oh, my gosh. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. We appreciate your time. Be peaceful. Spread love and all of that. You know how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel, please. Ring that notification bell. Smash that like button. Out of here.